The Vexari fleet hung in the void like a constellation of deadly stars, their crystalline ships reflecting the light of the distant sun. High Commander Zinra watched from the bridge of her flagship as the enemy approached. The Morrican battle group, their biological ships pulsing with an eerie green glow that seemed to consume the very darkness of space. "Status report," she commanded, her crystalline form shifting with anxiety. This battle would determine the fate of the crystalline worlds, their last stronghold against the ever-expanding Morrican collective. "Enemy fleet composition unchanged, Commander," her tactical officer reported. 37 biomech capital ships, supported by roughly 200 striker vessels. They outnumber us 3-1. Zinra's crystalline structure vibrated with determination. The Vexari might be outnumbered, but their technology was superior. Their photonic cannons could slice through Morrican bioarmor like solar fire through ice, if they could just hold this line. The first salvos flew across space, streams of energy and biological projectiles, creating a deadly light show against the backdrop of stars. Vexari ships danced through the void, their crystalline hulls deflecting what they couldn't dodge, while Morrican vessels absorbed hits like hungry beasts, their biological armor regenerating almost as quickly as it was damaged. Multiple breaches in Sector 7. The tactical officer's voice cracked with strain. The Morricans are pushing through. Zinra watched in horror as 3 of her capital ships succumbed to the endless wave of biological weapons. The enemy's strategy was simple but effective: overwhelm them with superior numbers. The Vexari's technological advantage meant nothing if they couldn't. The sensors screamed. Unknown spatial anomaly detected. The science officer's crystalline form flickered with confusion. Something's coming through. Space itself seemed to tear open, a wound in reality that leaked impossible light. From this breach emerged a ship unlike anything Zinra had ever seen. It was massive, easily dwarfing both Vexari and Morrican capital ships, its hull a perfect blend of geometric precision and fluid organic curves. It seemed to exist in multiple states at once, both solid and ethereal, present yet ghostly. By the crystal core, someone whispered, "It's the ghost ship." Zinra's structure pulsed with disbelief. The ghost ship was a myth, a story told in deep space bars about a phantom vessel of human origin that appeared during impossible battles, turned the tide, and vanished just as mysteriously. But humans had been gone for centuries, vanished from the galaxy without a trace. The mysterious vessel hung in space for a moment, seemingly observing the battle. Then it moved. Its movement defied physics. One moment it was at the edge of the battlefield. The next it was in the midst of the Morrican fleet. Weapons unlike anything Zinra had ever seen activated. Beams of energy that seemed to ignore shields completely. Projectiles that curved impossibly through space to strike multiple targets, and fields of force that simply caused enemy ships to cease existing. "Commander," the tactical officer's voice was filled with awe. "The Morrican fleet, it's being decimated." Indeed, the biological ships were being systematically destroyed, their regenerative abilities useless against weapons that seemed to operate on principles beyond conventional physics. Some ships simply vanished, others imploded into impossible geometries, while others seemed to age centuries in seconds, their biological components withering and dying. The Morrican fleet, facing an enemy they couldn't understand or counter, began to retreat. Their biological ships turned as one, attempting to flee the battlefield. The ghost ship allowed them to leave, hanging in space like a silent guardian. Then, to Zinra's shock, it broadcast a message, not in any known language, but directly into their minds, bypassing all communication systems. "The children of Earth stand with the free peoples of the galaxy. You are not alone." Before Zinra could respond, the vessel began to fade, becoming increasingly transparent until it vanished completely, leaving behind only sensor readings that made no sense and 1,000 questions. The battle was over. The Morrican advance had been halted. But Zinra knew this was just the beginning. The humans, long thought extinct, had returned, and they had evolved far beyond anything the galaxy had imagined possible. As her crew began damage assessment and rescue operations, Zinra's crystalline form pulsed with a mixture of hope and fear. The galaxy was about to change forever. The ghost ship was real, and with it, humanity had announced their return in a way that no one could ignore. The myth had become reality, and reality would never be the same. News of the ghost ship's appearance spread through the galaxy like a quantum wave, impossible to contain or control. In the Grand Archive chambers of the Vexari crystalline worlds, High Archivist Telvac interfaced with ancient data crystals, searching for any information about humanity's final days before their disappearance. The holographic displays surrounding him showed fragments of historical records, trade agreements, diplomatic exchanges, and seemingly primitive human vessels with their crude fusion drives and basic mass accelerators. Nothing suggested the level of technology displayed by the ghost ship. High Archivist, a voice interrupted his research. Commander Zinra's crystalline form emerged from the chamber entrance, still bearing battle scars from the recent engagement. Have you found anything? Commander, what I've discovered is troubling. Telvac projected a series of historical recordings. Look at these human ships from their last known appearances. Simple designs, conventional technology. Nothing special. But then I found this. He activated a sealed crystal, and a new hologram appeared. A classified report from 3 centuries ago. A Vexari deep space research vessel had detected an unusual energy signature from a supposedly uninhabited system. When they investigated, they found nothing, but their sensors had been completely scrambled for several minutes. At the time, it was dismissed as a sensor malfunction. Telvac explained, but I've analyzed the energy pattern. It matches what we detected from the ghost ship, just at a much lower intensity. They were testing their technology, Zinra realized, her crystalline structure pulsing with understanding. All those centuries ago, their discussion was interrupted by a priority alert. The Archiv's sensors had detected a spatial anomaly forming directly outside the facility. Telvac and Zinra rushed to the observation deck, arriving just as reality twisted itself into a familiar, impossible geometry. The ghost ship appeared, but different from its battlefield configuration. Its hull was more transparent, allowing them to see complex machinery and energy patterns that defied conventional physics. A message materialized in their minds. We would like to share the truth with you. Minutes later, in a secure conference chamber, Telvac and Zinra found themselves facing something unprecedented. A human. The being before them appeared both physical and energy-based, its form shifting between states in a way that suggested mastery over matter itself. I am Admiral Sarah Chen. Though titles mean little to us now, the human began. What you saw at the battle was one of our Echo-class vessels, designed to operate in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. But your species. Telvac's confusion caused his crystalline form to flicker. All historical records show primitive technology, basic ships. How did you advance so far without anyone knowing? Sarah smiled, her form momentarily becoming more solid. What you saw was a carefully crafted illusion. While we showed the galaxy our primitive ships, we were actually developing technology that operated on principles beyond conventional physics. We had discovered something that changed everything. The ability to exist in quantum superposition, not just at the particle level, but as entire vessels, entire beings. Why hide this? Zinra demanded. Why disappear for centuries? Because we saw what was coming. Sarah gestured, and a holographic display appeared, showing a massive void moving between galaxies. An entity that devours civilizations. We needed time to prepare, to evolve beyond conventional limitations. We couldn't risk this knowledge falling into the wrong hands before we were ready. The display shifted, showing human ships transforming into beings of pure energy, then back again. We learned to exist between states of matter, to operate in dimensions that your physics hasn't even theorized yet. The ghost ship, as you call it, is just the beginning. And now, Telvac asked, his scientific curiosity overwhelming his caution. Now we need allies. Sarah's form solidified completely. The Morrican Collective is just a symptom. The real threat approaches, and facing it will require species willing to evolve beyond their current limitations. We've watched your civilization, studied your potential. The Vexari's crystalline nature makes you uniquely suited for the transformation we underwent. Transformation. Zinra's structure vibrated with a mixture of fear and anticipation. Sarah held out her hand, which seemed to exist in multiple realities simultaneously. Let me show you what humanity has become, and what your species could be. The ghost ship isn't just a weapon. It's a bridge to a new state of existence. As Telvac and Zinra watched, Sarah's form began to shift, revealing glimpses of realities beyond their comprehension. The truth about humanity's disappearance was far more incredible than anyone had imagined. They hadn't gone extinct or abandoned the galaxy. They had transcended it, and now they were back to offer others the same evolution. The future of the Vexari, and perhaps all spacefaring civilizations, was about to change forever. The ghost ship wasn't just a myth or a weapon. It was a harbinger of transformation, and its message was clear: adapt or face extinction alone. Deep within the transformed research facility of the Vexari crystalline worlds, impossible energies danced through specially modified chambers. High Archivist Telvac observed as the first volunteer underwent the process that humanity had termed quantum awakening. The Vexari scientist's crystalline form began to shimmer with new frequencies, extending into dimensions that Telvac's unchanged eyes could barely perceive. The crystalline structure of your species makes this easier, Admiral Sarah Chen explained, her form shifting between states as she monitored the process. Your natural resonance patterns are already aligned with higher dimensional frequencies. We spent decades achieving what your people can accomplish in hours. Commander Zinra watched from a nearby observation platform, her structure vibrating with anticipation. She would be next. How many of your people survived the initial transformation? Sarah's form solidified momentarily, a shadow passing across her features. Less than 10% of our population. We weren't ready. We didn't understand the true nature of consciousness and its role in maintaining dimensional stability. Those who survived changed in ways we never expected. The volunteers' transformation reached its peak. Their crystalline form now existed in multiple states simultaneously, patterns of impossible mathematics flowing through their structure. When they spoke, their voice resonated across multiple frequencies. I can see everything. The spaces between spaces, the mathematical poetry of reality itself. Telvac's scientific instruments struggled to make sense of the readings. The energy patterns are similar to what we detected from the ghost ship, but on a biological scale. How did humanity discover this technology? Sarah gestured, and the air filled with holographic displays showing ancient Earth. We found something in our solar system's Kuiper belt, an artifact that defied our physics. At first, we thought it was alien technology, but we soon realized it was something far stranger, a message from ourselves, sent backward through time. The displays showed human scientists examining a crystalline structure similar to Vexari technology, but impossibly complex. The message was simple: evolve or die. Along with it came fragmentary plans for the quantum awakening process. We spent centuries perfecting it, hiding our true development from the galaxy while we prepared. A sudden alert interrupted them. The facility's enhanced sensors, recently upgraded with human technology, had detected something massive emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the system. The image it revealed caused Sarah's form to flicker with concern. They followed us here, she whispered. The Morrican Collective isn't just a hostile species. They're puppets. Their biological ships are infected with fragments of the entity's consciousness. The view screen showed Morrican vessels, but they had changed. Their organic hulls now pulsed with impossible colors, tentacles of void stuff reaching between them. Reality itself seemed to warp around their fleet. The entity doesn't just devour civilizations, Sarah continued, her form becoming combat-ready. edges hardening into weapon configurations. It infects them, turns them into extensions of itself. The Morricans were its advanced scouts, preparing this galaxy for consumption. We've been fighting them across multiple dimensions, multiple timelines. Telvac's scientific mind raced with implications. The ghost ship, it's not just a weapon platform. It's a template, showing us what we need to become. Exactly. Sarah's form expanded, revealing layers of technology and energy that hurt to look at. Humanity didn't just build better ships or weapons. We had to fundamentally change what we were to have any hope of fighting back. The ghost ship demonstrates the perfect fusion of consciousness and technology, of matter and energy, of being and unbeing. The transformed Vexuri volunteer stepped forward, their new form resonating with purpose. Then we must accelerate the process. Our entire species must evolve. No, Sarah countered, her voice carrying echoes of countless battles across dimensions. Not your entire species. Not yet. We learned that lesson the hard way. We need a core group first, ones who can help others transform safely. A quantum cascade of uncontrolled transformations would tear reality apart. Commander Zinra's crystalline form pulsed with decision. How long until the Morrican fleet arrives? 3 hours in conventional time, Sarah replied. But time becomes flexible when you exist in multiple states. We can make those hours last as long as we need. The chamber hummed with new energy as preparation for Zinra's transformation began. Outside, the ghost ship appeared in orbit, its impossible geometry a challenge to everything the Vexuri had thought they knew about reality. But now they understood. It wasn't just a ship. It was a bridge between what they were and what they needed to become. As the transformation chamber powered up, Telvac recorded everything, knowing that these moments would be studied for centuries to come. Humanity hadn't abandoned the galaxy. They had become its guardians, evolving themselves into beings capable of fighting horrors that existed beyond conventional space and time. The real war was about to begin, and its battleground would be reality itself. The space around the Vexuri homeworld rippled with impossible energies as two fundamentally different forms of warfare collided. The entity-controlled Morrican fleet, their biological ships now twisted with void stuff that shouldn't exist in normal space, faced off against something equally impossible: the combined forces of transformed humans and Vexuri. Commander Zinra, her crystalline form now existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously, coordinated with the ghost ship from her transformed flagship. Her consciousness extended across multiple dimensions, allowing her to perceive the battle in ways her former self couldn't have imagined. The entity is trying to establish quantum anchors. Admiral Sarah Chen's thought voice resonated across the dimensional spectrum. If it succeeds, it will be able to begin consuming this reality. Zinra observed the void tentacles reaching from the Morrican ships, trying to latch onto normal space. With her enhanced perception, she could see how they sought to corrupt the fundamental forces that held reality together. The entity wasn't just trying to destroy their civilization. It wanted to devour the very laws of physics that made their existence possible. Quantum Formation Alpha, Zinra commanded, her thoughts reaching the 20 newly transformed Vexuri ships. Their crystalline structures, enhanced by human quantum technology, began to resonate in perfect harmony. The space between them became a lattice of pure mathematics, a weapon formed from the geometry of reality itself. The ghost ship moved, its impossible form flowing through dimensions as it engaged the enemy fleet. It didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, it rewrote the local laws of physics. Morrican vessels found themselves in spaces where their void technology couldn't function, where the entity's influence was mathematically impossible. But the entity was ancient, experienced in consuming realities. The void tentacles adapted, sprouting fractal patterns that sought to corrupt the quantum lattice. Where they touched, reality screamed. They're learning, Sarah observed, her form shifting through combat configurations. The entity has devoured countless civilizations. It knows how to fight beings that transcend conventional physics. A Morrican vessel, its biological hull now completely transformed into void stuff, phased through the quantum lattice. It emerged near the Vexari homeworld, tentacles reaching for the planet's core. If it established a connection, the entire world would become a gateway for the entity. No. Zinra's consciousness expanded beyond safe limits, her transformed crystalline structure resonating with pure defiance. She had seen what humanity had become, had undergone the quantum awakening herself, but this was something more. A spontaneous evolution driven by desperate need. Her flagship split into quantum echoes, each one existing in a slightly different reality. The echoes surrounded the void-corrupted vessel, and Zinra did something that even the humans hadn't attempted. She merged the echoes back together, creating a localized quantum collapse. The space around the Morrican ship imploded, taking a chunk of void-corrupted reality with it. A temporary dimensional dead zone formed, cutting off the entity's influence in that region of space. Impossible. Sarah's thought voice carried traces of awe. You've weaponized quantum uncertainty itself. More void ships pressed forward. But now, the transformed Vexari fleet had a strategy. Working in concert with the ghost ship, they created expanding zones of quantum collapse, systematically cutting off the entity's attempt to anchor itself in their reality. The void tentacles began to retreat, pulling back into the corrupted Morrican vessels. The entity hadn't expected this level of resistance. It was used to civilizations that fought with conventional weapons, not ones that could manipulate the fundamental forces of reality. But victory came at a cost. Half of the transformed Vexari ships showed signs of quantum instability, their crews struggling to maintain coherence across multiple dimensions. Zinra herself could feel her consciousness wanting to fragment, to spread across too many realities at once. Hold formation. Sarah commanded, the ghost ship moving to stabilize the quantum field around the fleet. The entity is retreating. But this was just a probe. It's testing our defenses, learning our capabilities. The corrupted Morrican fleet phased out of normal space, leaving behind regions of reality that would need centuries to heal. The immediate battle was over, but Zinra knew this was just the beginning. How many other civilizations? She asked Sarah, her thought voice weak from the strain of quantum combat. How many others are fighting the entity across different dimensions? We don't know, Sarah admitted. Time and space become uncertain at the edges of entity-corrupted regions. We've encountered echoes of other civilizations that achieved quantum awakening, but whether they exist in our timeline or others, her form rippled with complex emotions. What we do know is that we're no longer alone in this fight. The transformed Vexari ships regrouped around their homeworld, their crystalline structures now permanently altered by their first taste of quantum combat. They had proved themselves capable of not just using human technology, but of innovating with it, of pushing the boundaries of what was possible when consciousness transcended normal physics. As repair operations began, Zinra received a signal from the planet below. High Archivist Telvac had completed his analysis of the battle data. The quantum awakening process could be refined, improved based on what they had learned. The next generation of transformed beings would be more stable, better prepared for the reality-warping nature of combat against the entity. The ghost ship hung in orbit, its impossible geometry a reminder of how far they had come and how far they still had to go. The entity would return, stronger and better prepared. But so would they. The fusion of human innovation and Vexari crystalline technology was just the beginning. The real war, the war for reality itself, was about to begin. The dimensional sensors aboard the ghost ship painted a grim picture of reality. Admiral Sarah Chen, her form shifting between states of matter, showed the assembled fleet commanders what humanity had been fighting all along. The entity wasn't just approaching their galaxy, it was approaching all galaxies across all possible timelines. This is what we discovered when we achieved full quantum consciousness, she explained, her thought voice resonating across multiple frequencies. The entity exists simultaneously in every reality. When it devours a civilization, it erases them from all possible timelines. Commander Zinra, her crystalline form now stable across 5 dimensions, studied the sensor data. The void between galaxies wasn't empty. It was filled with quantum echoes of consumed civilizations, fragments of realities that had been devoured and partially digested by the entity. How did humanity survive its first encounter? Asked High Archivist Telvac, his transformed consciousness processing information across quantum states. Sarah's form flickered with ancient memory. We didn't, not in most timelines. But in one, we managed to send a warning back through time, along with fragments of quantum awakening technology. That timeline became a seed, spreading across reality, creating pockets of resistance against the entity. The assembled commanders watched as the ghost ship's sensors revealed more details about their enemy. The entity wasn't just a cosmic horror. It was a mathematical cancer in the equations of existence, spreading through dimensions, corrupting the fundamental forces that made reality possible. The Morrican fleet was just the beginning. Sarah continued. The entity has corrupted thousands of species across multiple galaxies. It uses them as tools, adapting their unique characteristics to create new weapons against reality itself. But now they had hope. The quantum awakening process, refined through the fusion of human innovation and Vexari crystalline technology, had spread to other species. The assembled fleet included beings that had transcended their original forms, energy-based Solarians, phase-shifting quantum merfolk, and even some reformed Morricans who had broken free of the entity's control. Our civilizations were meant to find each other, Zinra realized, her consciousness expanding to embrace the mathematical beauty of the concept. Humanity's quantum evolution, Vexari crystalline technology, the unique attributes of each species, were not just allies. We're components of a solution that transcends any single reality. The ghost ship's sensors detected a massive disturbance. The entity had begun its final approach, its void form visible across all quantum states simultaneously. Reality itself buckled under its presence, laws of physics warping and breaking down. All transformed ships, prepare for quantum combat, Sarah commanded. Remember your training. Exist in multiple states, but don't lose your anchor to base reality. That's what the entity wants, to fragment our consciousness across so many dimensions that we lose coherence. The combined fleet moved into formation, their transformed ships creating a lattice of quantum-stabilized space. The ghost ship took point position, its impossible geometry serving as both weapon and shield against the encroaching void. The entity struck first, void tentacles reaching across dimensions, trying to corrupt the quantum lattice. But this time, they were ready. The transformed fleet didn't just fight back. They rewrote the local laws of physics, creating spaces where the entity's influence couldn't exist. Push the quantum collapse zones forward, Zinra commanded. Don't let it establish dimensional anchors. The battle transcended conventional understanding of space and time. Ships existed in multiple states simultaneously, weapons fired backwards through time, and consciousness expanded across realities. The entity found itself facing something it had never encountered before, beings that could match its dimensional complexity while maintaining their coherence and individuality. In a desperate gambit, the entity attempted to consume an entire sector of spacetime. But as it did, Sarah initiated humanity's final protocol. The ghost ship, revealed at last to be more than just a vessel, began to transform. It was a key, designed to unlock the quantum potential of all transformed beings in its vicinity. Now, Sarah's consciousness reached across the fleet. Channel your energy through the quantum matrix, every species, every consciousness, working in perfect harmony. The combined power of multiple transcended civilizations, flowing through technology that existed beyond physics, created something new. A quantum cascade that didn't destroy consciousness, but elevated it. The entity found itself caught in a web of awakened realities, each one reinforcing the others. For the first time in its ancient existence, the entity experienced something akin to fear. It tried to retreat, to pull back into the void between realities, but the transformed fleet pressed their advantage. They weren't just fighting to survive. They were fighting to reshape reality itself. The final blast wasn't an explosion or an implosion. It was a fundamental reorganization of quantum states, a rewriting of the mathematical equations that governed existence. The entity, which had consumed countless realities, found itself being consumed by something greater, the combined consciousness of species that had chosen to evolve together. As the quantum cascade settled, the transformed fleet regrouped around the ghost ship. The void between galaxies was clear for the first time in eons, the quantum echoes of consumed civilizations finally at peace. "It's not over," Sarah warned, her form stabilizing into something that bridged the gap between matter and energy. "We've driven it back, proved that transcended consciousness can stand against it. But the entity exists across all timelines. This victory needs to spread, to replicate across realities." Zinra's crystalline form resonated with understanding. "Then we'll continue to evolve, to spread the quantum awakening to other species, other galaxies. What humanity started will all continue together." The ghost ship, its purpose now fully revealed, prepared to lead them into a new age of existence. They had fought to save reality itself, and in doing so, had become something greater than any single species could have achieved alone. The legend of the ghost ship would spread across galaxies and dimensions, not just as a story of humanity's evolution, but as a testament to what was possible when civilizations chose to transcend their limitations together. The entity had sought to devour reality, but instead had sparked an evolution that would reshape existence itself. The war for reality wasn't over, but now, at last, the future had hope.